Peter is drawing on a well-known metaphor from the ancient world, and that is the metaphor of metallurgy. In the modern world, fire is a metaphor for passion. In the 80s or 90s, when somebody was zealous for God, we would say, she's on fire for God, or he's on fire for God. More recently, when a performance is full of emotion, we say it's fire, or we all know about the fire emoji. But in the ancient world, fire was not a metaphor for passion, but for purity. More specifically, it was a word picture from the art of metallurgy. Unlike today, where most of us don't even know where the objects in our home come from, people in the ancient Mediterranean were far more aware of where and how things were made, as most objects were made by hand and within a small radius of travel. Up until very recently in our own nation, there was a blacksmith in every decent-sized town. And metallurgy in the ancient world was an art form. First, the craftsperson would heat up the metal in a crucible, which was like a container to hold the metal and all of the heat together. And then they would keep it over the fire until the metal was molten. Then all of the slag that was in the metal from the very beginning would come to the surface. Slag is anything that's not supposed to be there, another type of metal, debris, air pockets, any kind of impurity at all. If the metal was a precious metal like gold, which in the ancient world was the most precious of all natural materials and, interesting to me, the most pliable of all precious metals, then the metallurgist would pour the gold into a mold where in time it became what the artist had in mind from the very beginning. It comes as no surprise that the crucible, or the container used to refine precious metals, has long been an apt metaphor for the role of trials in our spiritual formation. In fact, if you look up the word crucible in Merriam-Webster, it reads, 1, a vessel used for melting a substance that requires a high degree of heat, 2, a severe test, and 3, a place or situation in which concentrated forces interact to cause or influence change or development. Trials, like the one that we're in right now, are a crucible. They put heat, so to speak, under us and get our soul into a state where it's far more malleable and mutable. They also, though, bring the slag that's under the surface of our life to the top, to the forefront of our relational life. All of the impurity comes up. And in doing so, they refine our soul and reshape it to fit into a new mold, which for us as apprentices of Jesus is the life and teachings of Jesus himself. Now, back to Peter. Peter is saying, not only can we live with hope for the future, that was last week's teaching, as if that's not enough, we can also live with joy in the present, even if we are in the middle of a trial. Because all kinds of trials, major to minor, have the potential to forge us into people of faith. This could be the greatest moment for spiritual formation in the home that we will ever have. This could be the defining moment or the turning point in a marriage gone awry. This could be the healing breakthrough in a relationship between a parent and a child, in our own soul, if we stay with God in the crucible.